New video, guys. Thank you, Vars the Third, for always feeding us these delicious, scrumptious little content pieces to react to. I've stolen enough of your content. If you ever wanted to do a little piece with me, I would be down for a little collab on your channel. That would be cool.
If you're meant to select one character that represents Super Smash Bros., most would choose Captain Falcon without a second thought.
Super Smash Brothers, you would think of Captain Falcon and not Mario. I think it'd be more accurate to say most people know Captain Falcon from Smash.
This character is known more for his involvement in this franchise than the very series from which he originated.
Hey.
His notable voice lines, the muscle definition, the Giga Chad outfit right alongside the helmet and visor, and of course the iconic Falcon Punch were part of the game ever since the inaugural release of 64, and he will continue to be inextricably linked to this game.
Dude, Falcon is so sick, and they made him such a big character in Ultimate, and it makes me so sad. He's got Falcon Punch, he puts a lot of effort into his attacks, he goes, "Pah!" You know? That's cool stuff. He's really fast. Why does it look like only one of his thighs is extremely juiced up? Is that just me? I'm just thinking about his thighs. I think that's a normal thing to do. You guys don't just think about Captain Falcon's thighs?
Recognizable members of the Brawler archetype in Smash, typically being categorized as a rush.
Oh, hell yeah. This chart is going to make a lot of people mad. These gamers, yep, I can agree with most of these. Bait and punishers, you think Incineroar baits at all? He's just doing that. I don't think that. Precision camping? Trappers? Yeah, Ivysaur is not precision. Put Ivysaur in f***ing annoying. Joker's not a glass cannon? What is it? What game is this gamer playing?
The mark of a rushdown fighter is speed in both movement and attacks. Falcon is one of the fastest characters in the game, both on the ground and in the air, giving him no shortage of options to select when it comes to having to be at the right place at the right time, altogether having a lot more overall mobility than other in-your-face brawlers, including but not limited to the FGC characters.
People have been complaining about Falcon's dash problem for since the beginning of the game, and I didn't agree at first, and I really started to feel it when I would dash back as Falcon, and then somebody would still hit me with a run-up grab or something. And I'm like, yo, is this character not fast? Where's my movement? Why can't I bait and hit these guys? And I would just be getting smacked out of the air. He's so easy to swat and just stuff out. It's not good rushdown design.
Frame data wise, Falcon's definitely above average, possessing moves that are good for boxing up close, and a number of them are quite safe on shield for their kind. But by observing the gameplay between Fox, Roy, or an FGC character, and then comparing them to Falcon, you'll notice he doesn't really have the luxury to force the issue, choosing instead to spend more time in neutral, dash dancing, or...
I feel like it kind of like what he just said, alright, where he doesn't really have great options to deal with shield or no options to really mash. It should lean him more towards the bait and punish playstyle, but the dash makes that
The two things he's missing most are shield pressure and, more critically, guaranteed kill pressure. The reason someone like Terry or Ken is such a threat when up close is because challenging their block strings is either outright impossible or comes with a risk and reward ratio heavily skewed in their favor. Using Terry, everyone's aware of his 1-2 confirms: jab jab power down, jab jab rising tackle, down tilt burn knuckle, or jab jab buster wolf.
We're just talking about Terry now.
Roy's one of the simpler ones. Down tilt on shields -3 at close range, virtually impossible to challenge by anyone who is in Game & Watch. If he connects, a proper tech chase will begin setting up for kills as early as 60%. As for jab, his infamous chair, jab side B, or even jab forward smash makes trying to punish him for pressuring your shield.
He's probably going to talk about Falcon next, but the only thing that you really have to worry about with Falcon at low percent is down air. Nair 1, all falling aerials, but none of his grounded moves really make you start quivering. So what I usually like to do, I guess up smash, but that's 90%. I just get around, I start mashing aerials versus Falcon, and it works out pretty well.
They don't get nearly as much off a single neutral when compared to rushdowns, but it is compensated with less volatility, avoiding the risk of exploding off careless aggression. Once more, Falcon's incapable of playing fully into that playstyle either because of three things. 1. He's unable to force approaches. Hit and run fighters typically have 1 or 2 options they can use to agitate the opponent into coming to them. For instance, while Zero Suit's Air does a paltry amount of damage and doesn't kill anyone, its long range, safety on shield, and spam ability make it just good enough to annoy her opponent, pressuring them to go in, where she can then punish accordingly. Greninja's Water Shurikens and Inkling's Paint Bombs do the same thing. Under no circumstances will they ever kill someone in neutral, but they don't have to. Their job is to just make them come to them. Falcon obviously has no projectile. He is a good neutral game thanks to his mobility, and while not as good as in Smash 4, grab game giving it.
Why doesn't Falcon use the gun? Imagine Falcon with down gun. Dude, Falcon Punch is trash. Let's get that out of the way. Falcon Punch doesn't even kill it at a reasonable percent. on top of just being a meme move. I've seen Falcon Punch get used unironically one time in bracket. It was an air dodge read and it was hella optimal, but he could have just done something like way safer and smarter. So I guess it wasn't really that optimal. Thing's trash. Give Falcon down gun is basically what I'm saying.
In no trouble approaching, but when it comes to strictly forcing approaches, he can't really do so, which is unfortunate because he's known
Cosmos is definitely the kind of guy to just lose to Captain Falcon. I would assume he lost this.
for having quite a few moves that are excellent specifically for whiff punishing scenarios, not the least of which being Up Smash, Raptor Boost, and Falcon Kick. Up Smash in particular has garnered an almost legendary reputation for its deceptive horizontal range, great functionality as an anti-air courtesy of its legs being intangible, and extreme damage and kill power, especially when landing a double sweet spot. Couple that with a practically non-existent end lag for a smash attack and you'll see Falcon players occasionally throw this out in neutral because why the hell not? If it missed, smash attack and you'll see Falcon in neutral.
Yo.
If it misses, nothing happens. If it lands, your opponent's dead. Falcon Kick also has decent kill power of close enough and good stage coverage. Meanwhile, Raptor Boost is an easy way to set up into a string of up airs or potentially a raw knee. However, this gets cancelled out by thing number 2. 2. Falcon doesn't have an easy and safe tool for going after a whip punish that can lead into an easy confirm. What options he does have are very committal and usually not fast enough. Falcon Kick and Raptor Boost cover a good amount of space, but
makes him
can't
upbeat.
use a side dash
Upbeat is
attack
broke.
or an added. Falcon has a plethora of strong single blows, from up smash to Falcon Kick to forward air to sweet spot back air to dash attack, but lacks easy ways to set up into them. The best you might get is an Air 1, but compared to other Nair Warfare ones like Joker Fair or Roy Nair, the knockback angle and distance on Falcon's Nair 1 forces you to master IDJ to either rise high enough to do so or extend your combo with falling up air steps. Alternative.
He's kind of like lacking. Like I feel like Falcon's just lacking like the seal up for his kit. Sorry for hitting like he's lacking like the seal up for his kit. You know, he's missing like a cherry on top. I feel like is kind of the big thing about it. His damage output I don't think is really like broken at all whatsoever. Fox right there, for example, he has laser. It's not a broken move, but it's like this is really good to have for just the occasional matchup where I need to do just a lot of lasers, or it's just like that little bit of chip damage I needed to make Nair up smash work. There's no cherry on top. Zero Suit's Paralyzer, another one of those. Blade Beam I feel like is like that. Just I think like most characters like F tilts are kind of just like, all right, this is an all right move to throw out.
Part of what made him so much better in Smash 4 was that he did have easy confirms, mostly through his dash grab which got nerfed in Smash Ultimate, making players have to find alternative methods to get things going. Speaking of dash grab, that was essentially
I hate that his down throw is garbage. It's like some characters you cannot get down throw follow-ups on. I don't know why you would ever make Falcon not get throws on follow-ups.
The Falcon player has to take unreasonably high risks to get the same result that similar characters get without any of that risk. As a result, even though people think he's a really hyped character, the higher up you go, the lamer you have to play on him, since it's just too risky to go for sauce.
True. That's just like a fact of life though that he just said, where if you want to be shiesty, if you want to be a nasty player, then you're taking a lot of risks. That doesn't work anymore. You have to play cringe if you want to win, which is up B with Falcon. He hasn't even mentioned up B yet, which is crazy. We're 11 minutes into the video and he hasn't even said anything.
He's popular to play casually or low to mid level, but really difficult to play competitively. It's a shame too, people love the legacy this guy has, but outside of Brawl, Ultimate Falcon might be the worst rendition of Falcon that's still decently viable. I tend to see discussion on Reddit or Twitter or even in my own comment section talking about
Brawl Falcon was so garbage. I not too long ago played like a friendly session of Brawl and I was like playing Falcon and that character is not good at all. And he has a weird noise that occurs when he dashes. I don't know how else to explain it.
When Cloud made his debut into Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and Wii U, the amount of excitement and surprise echoing throughout the community was almost palpable. It was never out of the question if a Square Enix character could make it into the franchise, but to see it actually happen was truly a moment for the history books. Cloud's advent was marked to say when Sephiroth came into Ultimate in what I might say was the most hype reveal trailer ever made before or since. Initial reactions to him were just as optimistic, if not more so, given the enduring rivalry between him and...
Dude. His reveal trailer was so good.
So I thought it would be a fun video to make. Today we'll be investigating one of the most...
Yeah, that did not deserve the sweet spot. It's supposed to be the middle of his sword, by the way. That's where the sweet spot is.
Today we'll be investigating one of the most polarizing characters throughout all of Smash and why no one plays Sephiroth's attack reach is so long that it inadvertently causes many of his attacks to be virtually unpunishable on shield if perfectly spaced, purely because the majority of the cast doesn't have an add a shield option long enough to strike back. To offset his insane range, he has varying sweet and sour spots based on how his forward tilt are at their strongest at the middle of the sword, length of the sword strongest at the middle of the sword, similar to Roy's inverse tipper. Then again, the immense length of the sword allows Sephiroth's middle hitbox to still outrange other swordies altogether. He gains a set amount of bonuses that can only be described as a combination of Cloud's limit and Joker's Arsene, along with letting him double jump twice in the air. All his attacks deal one. A core part of what makes Sephiroth such a terrifying opponent is that he fundamentally disobeys the range and speed rule. Typically, when a character has really high effective range, such as a projectile user like Samus or the Belmonts, a major point of weakness to them is their poor ground and or air physics. Fighting games wouldn't be very fair for someone to have the range pressure of Samus. Well, not only does Sephiroth break the rules that keep zoners in check, but he also kind of breaks the rules that keep swordies in check as well. Granted, not all of them, but for those who play and or play against a good Sephiroth, he sort of gets away with a lot of things that other swordies
can move. You think Sephiroth has cool movement? I really don't think he does. He has like a sliding down tilt and a wall pin, which is like, it's alright, it's not cool. He keeps one swordie in check. Oh, it flows nicely to play him. It is, I do feel satisfied when I play him. I feel like he's pretty fun in that way. It feels good to hit like a reverse up air or like a nice juicy F tilt.
Zoners and trappers may have poor mobility in general, but that doesn't mean they lack the means to fight up close and personal. Quite the opposite, they're actually notorious for having get-off-me tools. The one exception to this is Sephiroth, who is quite possibly the worst close quarters combat in the game. The fastest add a shield option he has is neutral air at frame 12. It's not the worst, but rising nair doesn't exactly lead into anything and it has rather short range, only hitting in a circle around him, and since it's a rising aerial, there's a chance he may not be able to hit low-profile targets, such as short-height characters like Greninja and Pikachu, or characters who pancake on falling aerials like Cloud. Aside from that, Sephiroth may honestly have the worst add-a-shield game period, desperately needed. Something I should clarify is that there's a difference between range and coverage. Range entails how far your character can attack, whereas coverage denotes the total area your attacks cover. Take Sephiroth's forward air, it's a forward thrust, probably the longest forward air in the game. However, it is a very thin hitbox, making it rather precise, whereas Ike's forward air is an overhead arcing slash. It may not reach as far, but it covers more area by attacking above him, in front of him, as well as below him.
This is definitely, I like that he's actually making the specification just because it's actually important to have good coverage.
The absence of reliable defensive measures adds more insult to injury when you account for how ridiculously light he is. Not only does Sephiroth share the same weight as motherfucking Kirby, but he's more than twice his height, being one of the easiest characters to hit, especially with landing and rising aerials. Sephiroth just dies, not by a small margin either. We're talking he usually dies 30% earlier than most others. Of course, his
I don't want Sephiroth to be normal weight.
Extreme offense.
There, I said it. I think he'd be annoying.
Character. On the subject of weaknesses overshadowing strengths, let's talk about his comeback mechanic. On paper, One Wing might actually be the best out of all the comeback mechanics if you think about it. It gives you a third jump, that alone speaks volumes. On top of that, you get a 30% increase in damage across the board.
Wing is broken.
A big boost here. In practice, I find it to be the least impactful comeback mechanic in the game in terms of payout. Let me explain.
I think the conditions for Wing to either appear or disappear is insane. I don't know why it disappears ever. I'm not gonna lie. That's bad design.
The problem with it is that it doesn't alleviate his weaknesses in any way. Joker's Arsene grants him a major amp, but if he's getting his ass kicked before Arsene, he's gonna still get his ass kicked after, because all Arsene, and by extension One Wing does, is amplify your strength. It doesn't compensate for anything. Furthermore, because One Wing disappears after you dealt a certain amount of percent, if hypothetically you're down 3 stocks to 1 and you get One Wing, you'll only sustain.
That's kind of what he's saying right now, Noah, where it's a snowball mechanic.
Stock, provided you made it that far, the game will have detected that you dealt enough damage, even though you're still behind, forcing you to have to play that final crucial stock without Wing. Sephiroth is definitely a worthwhile counterpick secondary. He's got the perfect balance of speed, power, and range to deal with all those so-called annoying characters
that everyone hates fighting. Who, Rob?
Have a lot of weird gimmicks you have to get used to. He's still pretty straightforward. That likely explains why Tweak, Ned, and Ken have been using him quite often as of late.
He's a good counterpick character, just like Zero Suit, equally as viable. Hey, doing okay versus Steve is as good as it's gonna get, buddy.